Yeah, I understand there's going to be some flaws to the lab since, once again, we didn't have all the lactate strips, but just go ahead and put up there, the data you can find. Understand that it turns out lactate would have gone up. I did find it interesting how much my blood sugar went down. And the good news is that's the exact same video you're going to use for the critical power test, which is going to be the following week's lab. So you should be able to bang that quick. Now, when we're coming over to the GymAware power maintenance and strength power curve, in fact, I'm glad that I've got you guys here because we've got the one sheet from our subject so you can actually see the weights that he did in my garbage handwriting, along with how tall he is and how heavy he is. But you'll be able to figure that out by looking at the bar. And then we've got the Excel data up there also. So you don't have to, it's neat to kind of watch the videos on YouTube in sequence of load, because then you can actually see how he naturally gets a little bit slower with each set. But then you can also go ahead and raw data is what you're going to look at, analyze, and then that's what you're going to go ahead and publish for the lab. And then for the strength power, for the power maintenance, that is going to be Dr. Sasha doing deadlifts. I didn't video all of the sets, but I videoed a number of them. And then same thing, you've got all the raw Excel data in there for the deadlift, and you can see how his speed actually got better because he started to figure out his technique. You're going to find most people we're probably going to see a decrease in that speed performance at the same load. But since Sasha honestly is not that good of a lifter yet, he can still actually get better, and that's more or less kind of a neurological efficiency. But if you notice, his posture from the floor and otherwise is not great. So, I'm working on it. We're trying to train him up a little bit, but, we're doing our best. Then there's the annoying video of, well, not annoying. There's a video of me doing the BFR holding a resistance band and doing that on each side. You can count the reps I did, and feel free to look at my lack of enthusiasm for it because it sucks and I hated it. But you could also try to rig that up on your own at home. The key is you're just going to need to be able to find something you can put on the upper extremity and test that one side at a time. Height and weight with the lactate. Well, it turns out I'm 5'10" on a very good day, and I'm 212. But you're never supposed to ask someone their height and weight because that's just mean. No. Let's just put blood glucose in the one lactate. Yes, just put all the data we have and how we determine the relationship. Yes, that's winging it. Courtney, I don't expect you guys to get perfect data here. It's naturally flawed. We ran out of lactate strips. What we would typically see with the performance is you go up, obviously, to the peak of which during the training session, and then with active recovery, you're going to see it come back down. Unfortunately, all you guys got was the peak. A resting lactate should be less than 2 millimole, and I think my final one was at 13. So needless to say, it was pretty elevated after doing that little bit of trial. I also thought it was fascinating. My blood sugar dropped almost 40 points in what would have been 5 minutes. That I think is pretty impressive. So, and then you guys also technically got to see a video of me doing cardio, which is a very rare thing to ever observe in the wild. What other questions, comments, concerns about the labs can I go ahead and talk about with you guys? And you guys can go ahead and unmute yourselves if you want to go ahead and say something. And if you already have been talking, I might have my volume down too low over here, so I'm going to turn it up on the TV and see if that helps.
Yeah, it is.
It's because we're all on it. I'm working.
Hi, Jared. Bye, Jared.
Hello, Dr. Lane. How are you?
Not too bad, bud. Any questions about any of this stuff?
I don't think so. I think I've got everything. I'm running a little behind. I'm gonna have to get on there and see what all I can find, but I think I can get it figured out.
No worries. So I'm still working on grading your take-home assignments. They're mostly done. It just turns out it's kind of death by grading now, since obviously everybody is online and such. But yeah, for the most part, folks did a pretty decent job. Remember, guys, the 3 components of the cardiovascular system is the heart, the blood vessels themselves, and then the blood itself. Now, each of those, remember, adapt at their own rate. Blood, we're going to see that increase in plasma within the first week, increase in red blood cells within about a month. The capillaries through interception and branching are going to start to increase, and that's something that's a long-term adaptation. So we'll initially see some better vasodilation to those muscles, but then we're also going to see changes in actual vasculature, but that's a long-term adaptation that obviously requires concerted effort. And then finally, we've got the heart itself, where we're going to see that eccentric hypertrophy. We're increasing the thickness of the myocardium while we're also increasing the size of the chamber, and that's going to go ahead and allow the heart to beat better. We've got our basic principles of training in the 5 of them and how we're going to apply them, specifically making sure that we're doing one thing, or we're setting the program appropriately. So we are going to be working on each of the modalities that that athlete needs to perform at a better level, and keeping all those principles in accord while we do so. And then finally, when it comes to the endocrine adaptations, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. We've got growth hormone, testosterone, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, insulin, glucagon, thyroid hormone functioning. You know, all of those, and even aldosterone and our hydration hormones, all of those are going to play into how we're not just going to perform acutely, but then how our body is going to perform over a long period of time. So chronic adaptation. So it's important that you think about how each of those hormones is going to have an effect. I mean, it's a pretty big system that has some far-reaching consequences for the body. Any other questions of things you guys would want to talk about or work your way through?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Are you talking about, was there another online assignment with the 3, was it 3 questions? I know I'd done the first one, but was there a second one?
Yeah, it was due on the 25th.
Oh my.
No idea either.
I didn't. Yeah. That's all right, I guess.
And then there's another one that's going to be coming up on the 15th, and then that'll be open for a little bit. Yeah, that one, because I'm looking at it. I'm going to make another one also.
Hold on. I couldn't hear you, though. It cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, I said there's going to be another take-home assignment coming up on April 15th. It's going to be up during that week. And
Gotcha.
I'll probably make another one before you guys have your final. And then remember, with that final, you know, that's going to be, well, it's naturally kind of nice because you can take that nearly whenever you want, but make sure you stay on top of when those quizzes are due and when those, not just the homework quizzes, but also those assignment quizzes, or those chapter quizzes. I'm just clicking around to make sure that I got, kind of giving you guys a heads up. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little about the final, because it's going to be awesome in that I like it, but that might not be how everybody reacts. So how many of you guys have ever heard of the TV show on Netflix or the book called Altered Carbon?
Yeah, I watched a few episodes.
Yeah. My wife is currently laughing at me a little bit because it's for science. Okay. So, like anything else, you don't have to necessarily watch it. You can always just go to Wikipedia. But the thing that I think is really awesome is the basic concept behind it is it's set in the future where everybody has a little disc that's implanted into the base of their skull. From there, you can literally kind of take the disc out and you can literally plug it into another body. So you can literally take someone out of one body and put them into another. And, you know, it's a future where there's mechanical advantages, different forms of body modification, and so on. And I really, I read the book also for it. And the book's really good because it's from the main character's perspective. And so it talks about when he gets put into a different body, how, you know, aside from you've got different ranges of motion because your limbs are longer and things like that are different, but then there's other advantages, like some of them are built so that they have a more reactive sympathetic nervous system. Some of them are built so that they've got, you know, augmented metabolic capabilities. It's really neat. So that's going to be something we're going to be playing into on your final, which is more or less the idea is if you would be able to move yourself into different bodies, with all the things that we've learned about when it comes to the different physiological systems, how that's going to be able to influence performance and what would be arguably the most advantageous to have given a different situation. Now, certain things are pretty straightforward. Like it turns out if you want to have arguably one of the best builds you could have in order to be a swimmer, you probably want to wake up in Michael Phelps's body. Just like if you wanted to be a really good basketball player, you'd want to wake up in LeBron James's body. But then other things are a little bit more difficult because things like, okay, well, what's the best body type for a mixed martial artist? Because longer limbs allow you to strike with a bigger distance, but that also is a longer limb that someone that is more well-trained with things like jujitsu to grab and then lever and obviously stop you with. So there's that kind of give and take, and that's what we're looking for with the final as to how that all plays together. So just be aware of that show and or the book. You don't necessarily have to have read it all. But I personally definitely enjoyed it. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So you're saying we need to watch this too?
Just like the basic concept that I just went through is giving you everything you need. But I mean, I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. A lot of violence, decent amount of nudity and everything else. It's probably not a good choice if you're stuck in your house with a bunch of young siblings. But what, honey? No, that's not nothing. What's that look for? I think my wife's judging me more so than usual. So, anything else that you guys would like me to kind of run through? Okay. Yeah. Basically, once again, guys, you're just going to YouTube. And so let me go ahead, get this on the monitor a little bit closer to me so I can see what's going on. Sorry, my internet is running relatively slow. That's kind of what it does. Okay. All right, so if you guys go over to the YouTube channel, we can then go ahead and, so I gotta move this so I can see what's going on. We'll go to Exercise Physiology Spring 2020. Yep, look at Sasha's deadlift starting position. Isn't that awesome? Okay. We've got the tick. Okay, so this is what we're looking for, which is the critical power lab. So you can go ahead. I don't need to hear myself. Me probably saying inane stupid things that have no real purpose. Me biking to nowhere as a warm-up. Something else going wrong, because of course, oh yeah, because we got to figure out how to get me bleeding. So you can see right there, there's the initial blood glucose measurement. And then I go ahead, hop back on the bike. Ride. And that's me riding against the resistance. It's the equivalent of 3.5 kilograms. And it's effectively doing a wind gate for 3 minutes while you try to keep your cadence up the entire time. So then we go ahead and go through, finish up with the recovery at the end because I was very happy to be done with that. Tyler comes over, gets another blood sample. So it was down to 94. So that's already dropping. And then, was he able to get the lactate? I swear the lactate was in there somewhere, but that's, you'll be able to go ahead and get that through. Same thing with looking at because critical power and then the lactate are going to be the exact same videos. So once this gets done, and I get off the bike. Oh, I think we actually read off the numbers during, so you can kind of see them a little bit before, a little bit outside. We really look like goons. So, yeah, any other questions I can kind of help talk through with you guys so you kind of feel good about expectations and everything else going on right now?
I'm sorry, I missed the first couple of minutes in this lecture. Were you just giving a review, basically the assignments the rest of this semester?
Yeah, it's really working through the lab so everybody kind of knows when everything's due.
Okay.
So now, as far as the choice/load carriage, that is still obviously up to kind of up to you guys. Like, what do you guys want it to be? It could be for the choice/load carriage. Well, turns out you guys could all do some type of lab at home and then compare your data to one another. Now, we've got gravity and oxygen and, a number of different body weight calisthenics. So we could do something like just have everybody do, something simple, like maybe do maximum push-ups and then compare that to, kind of height and body weight, something relatively simple when it comes to correlation. Or it could be something a little bit more involved. Unfortunately, previous semesters, obviously we would go ahead and have you guys do, something collaboratively and using any equipment in the lab. And unfortunately, we don't have that availability. Okay, good question. Another question I've got here, guys, is, what can we do as far as, any type of extra credit opportunities, since obviously things have been heavily shut down, completely shut down. If you guys go over to see what tab it's on. Yeah, it's under assignments. And I will actually open that right now. It's called King of the Hill. It's going to be where you take and are given a random number of questions, and however many that you answer correctly, it's just worth extra credit, so you get those points to add on to your final grade. And then whoever gets the highest score on this by the end of the semester, they actually are going to receive a extra 50 points to their final grade. So that's just going to be up there. As far as other extra credit opportunities, honestly, I'm going to have to think about it. I haven't had really much of a chance to kind of think of what could be a decent secondary option for you guys so that you can kind of get a couple more points if you need it. But like I said, I'll be thinking on it. Yeah, check it now, Jared. I just put it up. So one thing that I'm currently doing for my biomechanics class, or not my bioenergetics class, is I'm having students just kind of either email me a question just about exercise phys they want me to kind of shoot a little video of, and I'll put up online for you. Or they can just put a comment underneath one of the actual lecture presentations. Just let me know whatever you guys have. I'm more than happy to just kind of talk on something a little bit so you guys can kind of have a little bit more of what would be like a real lecture where you guys could ask questions a little bit more organically, because I know this isn't exactly the easiest way to ask questions. And outside of that, we'll figure out something. Like I said, we're going to figure out something. I just don't know what it is yet when it comes to extra credit. So don't worry about that. Guys, it's really weird. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on outside of your control and outside of my control, and I hope you guys are all safe. Focus on making sure you take all those homework quizzes. There's really no reason you shouldn't get a 10 out of 10 on each of them, because you've literally either studied hard enough and took it once and hit it out of the park, or you did enough times that you got it right. That's fine. You're going to have a lab each week. The videos are up there. You guys can get those in on time, and I'm going to be grading them very, very gently. So right there should be 15 points out of the 25 possible points each week, because then, yes, you do have those quizzes. And, obviously, you need to study, you need to work on those quizzes. And whenever you find yourself having issues with, you seem to always miss the question that's about muscle, how does a muscle depolarize and contract? Go back to your notes, go back to the lectures, go through it again so you can do that. Yeah, Jake, it's, what is mine? Yeah, I mean, that's my Gmail right there. So I think in theory, you should be able to just like Google me or otherwise, and you'll be able to find the channel.
Yeah, I Googled you and it popped up just a second ago.
Brent, yes. The Critical Power Lab video is the same video you guys are going to be using for the lactate lab. Just write down the blood glucose numbers and then the one lactate number that you got, and then understanding that once you guys are going to have complete data, because it turns out we don't have complete data.
Also, another question. The lab says it was due March 20th. Is that just on there because that's what you had it as?
Just get it in. I'm not going
Okay.
to give you guys trouble if you're a little bit late.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. A lot of folks have already gotten it in, so we're good to go there. Good. All right, so let's see here. Abby, any questions?
No, I think I'm good right now.
Okay. Okay, Brent. Caitlin, any questions?
No, we're good.
Okay, like so. Just a lot of you guys are real quiet. Not quite sure if it's coming through okay. Heard from Will, Tori, Taylor. Anything?
Nope.
I just came in a little bit late. I just want to be sure I caught up with everything.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Sam,
I'm good,
are you good, Sam?
technically.
There we go. I appreciate the honesty. Lewis?
I'm good.
Okay. Right. And then Emily or Jake? You guys good?
Yeah, I'm
Good to
okay.
go.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, for now, just just keep trying to do your best with all this stuff. I'm going to think through what would be a decent kind of extra credit opportunity for you guys to really kind of think things through. And the way I'm currently leaning right now, it's going to be effectively having you guys think through the true like physiological demands for, of course, it's always going to be something ridiculous, aka something a little bit insane, and trying to figure out what would be the metabolic demands for like a comic book character otherwise, just because it entertains me. So yeah, it's King of the Hill multiple ones. Yeah, Tori, take that thing as many times as you want. The way I've got it set up is you can take it in, unlimited number of times. It only records the best attempt you had. And no matter what, guys, it's going to give you, I think, like 150 or 200 random questions from all the different homeworks that you guys have had and some of the quiz questions. however many you get right, you get 1/10 of a point of extra credit. And then whoever gets the best grade on that anyways, by the end of it, which is like due finals week, you're going to get 50 extra credit points to your grade. So, well, guys, if you don't have any other questions for me, we'll go ahead and, call it a day. Make sure you guys are being safe. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. I'll finish up doing your grading on your take-home assignments and then kind of get ahead on the labs and the other classes. And then after that, I'll try to put up an extra credit opportunity for you guys. So everybody sound good?
And as long as we're filling out that questionnaire that you have on there every week, will we still get extra credit for that?
Yep. Wellness survey is still on, definitely a thing. And Lord knows it's going to be real fascinating to look at those things at the end of the semester, because I wonder how things have kind of got real weird around spring break and since the whole stuck in the house, which, to be fair, Norbert seems to thoroughly be enjoying, as he's literally sleeping on the couch right next to my wife. The cats have relative ambivalence to our existence, and I really do not like not seeing you guys in person. But hey, it's what you got to do, right? So be safe, guys. Yeah, have yourselves a